Good morning, comrades. You're listening to, I almost said WMNF. Like, that is the community radio station when I grew up in St. Petersburg, like Tampa Bay. It was like an NPR affiliate and everything. But this is not WMNF. This is WHIV, 102.3, low power FM. I'm a little thrilled right now. This is Robert of Good Morning Comrade. Jeff has made his way back to fight for labor rights in Virginia, right? And I'm a little thrilled because we're not recording in the studio. This is not live. So please hold all calls. But this is in the home studio. And I'm with my lovely wife, Erin, who is a frequent in and out, guest of the podcast. Also host, guest, licensed mental health professional. And she's here. So it's like having your very own Dr. Katz.
I'm also in the world's squeakiest chair, so sorry, everybody.
It's very squeaked out.
And also, I have really bad vocal fry. So
your vocal fry is fine.
No,
it's authoritative.
No,
how do you figure that?
Because I've spoken to men.
That men are trash. Like,
yeah,
you've told me this on various occasions. So why are we concerned with what men think?
Because your listeners are mostly men, I'm assuming.
I mean, they are. When I run the...
You guys aren't trash, though.
When I run I'm
so
trash.
Don't complain about my vocal fry.
I'm trash.
So we'll be fine. We're all good.
No, there is definitely a trash can that lives inside of me. So, and also, I just had to grab my keyboard because we have our cat Ozzie who is chilling out, but he loves to lay on the keyboard, and then it's just a random what's going to happen when he does it. Usually he screws up video games. He's trying to screw up recording of a podcast right now. But he's such a good boy.
Henry likes to attack my laptop when I'm using it, especially when I'm on a training or a conference call, and she likes to send fun messages to the other participants.
That's so awesome.
And then I get a bunch of messages back. I think your cat sent me a message, and it's like, yes.
Yeah. What did it say? Pss, 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 pss.
No, mostly it was a lot of K's. And H's.
Oh, that's sussy. That's sketch. A lot of K's.
That's where she was standing.
A lot of K's.
A JKL.
Sussy cats. Sussy cats. What's going on, Erin?
Wow.
Somebody tried to steal our cat, I found out.
I guess Speaking that's going cats. On. Okay.
So I come home and both of our neighbors, our neighbor from up the block and our neighbor next door, is there was a guy, because we have we have cats, we have 3 cats, and they're indoor outdoor cats.
And before you all come for us, we tried to make them be indoor cats, and these cats figured out how to escape from the house. Robert came into our room just not 15 minutes ago and stated that our cat Annie had, we took away her normal escape route. She normally jumps on top of Robert's arcade cabinet and then into the cabinet above our closet and then shimmies up the air conditioning vent because, she really wants to get outside. But we moved the video cabinet.
Anybody over the age of 30 knows what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, so we moved that. So she just scaled the wall.
Yeah, she just is like Spider-Man and just dug one claw into another and just straight vertically scale. I think she looked back at me like she surprised herself. She's plotting it. She's like, I don't know, but we can give it a whirl. And then she was just up in the crawl space looking down at me like, man, I did it.
There's literal cat claw marks in the wall.
I'm looking at
it. So we did really try to make these cats stay indoors. They just refused. So anyway.
Both our neighbors are like, hey, we have a cat, Annie, who runs wild and free, and she just hangs out with everybody. She comes with us when we walk our dog. She walks with us around the block. She just will get pets from everybody. Well, apparently there was some hipster dude. They described him as a tall white guy, thin, with short shorts on, cowboy boots, and a tank top. And I'm like, this man came straight out of the Bywater to try to steal my cat. They said Annie came over to him for some pets. He picked up Annie and just started walking down the street, and Annie was screaming bloody murder. Trying to get away. And our neighbor came out what's going on, and was like, you put that cat down right now. Like, because that's not your cat. That's the Block's cat.
She is truly the Block's cat. It's I get sad about it sometimes because I did want her to be my cat.
Yeah.
Which is why I adopted her, but you know, the Block needed her and she showed up. You know, she answered the call.
That's insane. How's work?
Work's good. We're finally staffed properly. Because they decided to give us all a raise. So
that's
yeah,
great.
that's crazy.
Yay.
You know, you get to you give people more money, they're more willing to work for you.
Things.
But yeah, I can't really talk about my work just because HIPAA, but
yeah.
People are still struggling.
It's pretty bad out there.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it could be, but it's bad.
Did you see? I guess we'll just do we'll eat our vegetables first before our dessert. Did you see in Tennessee the governor of Tennessee has signed a bill that's going to make drag shows illegal?
Which I truly don't understand because Nashville is the bachelorette capital of the world, from what I understand. And I don't understand how you can have a bachelorette party without a drag brunch.
Yeah, I mean, it can't go back to Nashville now. But yeah, he's a trash bag for sure. But did you see on top of all that, pictures were dug up of him in high school at a Powder Puff football game.
That's so funny.
So
sad, but funny.
He is in a dress. And literally, the reporter that confronted him with it was straight, it must be 4channews.com, because he literally said, "Is this you? This you? What do you got to say about this?" And he was just like, "Oh, that was in good fun."
Yeah, every drag brunch I've ever been to has been in good fun too.
I know.
So I don't understand. Drag show. I shouldn't just keep saying drag brunch. I'm just really basic. So
you just gotta have eggs.
Mostly when I see drag.
You gotta have eggs with your drag show.
I'm either watching drag wrestling or I'm at drag brunch. There's truly no in between for me.
Drag wrestling, 2 weeks ago? That's pretty good.
It was great.
It was pretty nice.
It was fantastic. But this is, I not to be talk kind of lighthearted about something so terrible. But my mom sometimes has asked me, why I'm kind of down frequently, and I don't really know how to explain to her that I have a really sick feeling in my stomach that how similar the times are to the Weimar Republic, and what came after the Weimar Republic is not something that I particularly want to live through, or have happened again.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the reboot of Cabaret.
Yeah,
that's not a thing I want to watch.
And ironically, they probably wouldn't allow it.
Well, that's the whole point. That's the point of the original one, is it not?
I've never seen it. I'm going to be honest
Honestly,
with you.
I've never seen it either, but the premise makes me mad because I'm like, if you people were in the street instead of come to the cab, or maybe y'all could have done something
we
about
might
this.
be being really unduly harsh on
Probably. More than likely.
characters of Cabaret. Please let us know. But I, the targeting of trans people, and not that drag queens and kings are trans all the time, but just targeting because if you actually look at the law, it does ban trans people from performing anything because it's specific to, I think it said the language is something like performing in the cultural makeup, including dress, accessories, style, all of that, of a person who's the opposite of the gender you were assigned at birth. So essentially, it's not drag. It's trans people doing anything in front of other people ever. And that's really scary. That is really scary. It's the cliche at this point, but the reason it gets said so much is because it's true. It's, they came for the communists and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. They came for the Jews. I didn't speak up. I wasn't a Jew. They came for the Catholics. I am Catholic, but you know what I'm talking about. And it's just, I don't really know what to do with my feelings about it, to be honest. Because again, it's so stupid. It's so stupid that it's almost as if you don't want to take it seriously because they're just so outlandish and buffoonish. But, you know, even, and that's part of the poison of it, is that they are so goofy and so hypocritical and so out of control that it almost becomes not real, which I think is something that happened a lot during the Trump administration. So, you know, I don't know what to do.
So just to get the full scope of this, I'll read. This is from CNN.com, because you're saying how it bans all performances, and I can't remember. I'm sure I've read this already, but I just can't remember the specifics. It's like my brain wanted to block them out. So let's see. CNN Politics by Shauna Mizell, March 2nd, 2023. Tennessee becomes first state in 2023 to restrict drag performances. Republican Governor Bill Lee signed into law Thursday afternoon that will restrict public drag show performances in Tennessee, making his state the first to do so this year. The state Senate passed the bill earlier Thursday along party lines to admit adult cabaret performances on public. Again, my cat just moved my mouse. Public property, so as to shield them from the view of children, threatening violators with a misdemeanor and repeat offenders with a felony. The bill, which the Tennessee House passed last week, defines an adult cabaret performance as a performance that features topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, male or female impersonators who provide entertainment that appeals to a... What is that word, Aaron?
Prurient.
It's not Puritan.
It's purient.
Purient. That is my new SAT word.
Purient means basically blue. Like it means like you know, I don't know what obscenity is, but
okay.
I can't say what obscenity is, but I know it when I see it.
See
That's
it.
purient.
All right.
Prurient.
That's a wild word. Republicans hold supermajorities in both the House and the Senate. The law will go into effect on July 1st, 2023. Tennessee measure is the first of nearly a dozen such bills presently working their way through the GOP-led state legislatures. Republicans say the performances expose children to sexual themes and imagery that are inappropriate, a claim rejected by advocates who say the proposed measures are discriminatory against the LGBTQ community and could violate First Amendment laws. Yeah, I wonder... Yeah, like, this feels like something the ACL... This feels like a ACLU slam dunk, but we'll see. But it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter if it gets repealed or not. There's already a chilling effect. That's the point. The cruelty is the point, not to actually protect children from anything. Let's see. As transgender issues and drag culture are increasingly becoming more mainstream, such shows, which often feature men dressing as women in exaggerated makeup while singing or entertaining a crowd, though some shows feature bawdier content, have occasionally been the target of attacks, and LGBTQ advocates say the bills under consideration add to a heightened state of alarm for the community. Like I said, it's the chilling effect they want. It's the chilling effect they're going to get. Republicans, State Senator Jack Johnson, who sponsored the Tennessee legislation, told CNN on Thursday that the bill was not meant to target drag performances or transgender people, except you just literally spelled out in the language of the bill what a drag show is. That's wild. That is 1987 George Orwell.
Well, that's how they get around that was all in good fun, because of course a high school, well, actually I shouldn't even say of course, but theoretically a high school skit is probably not going to have a lot of like sexual nature and like a lot of bodiness, but why am I like there was a guy in my high school who used to show us all his penis like frequently.
What?
Yeah. This was before Me Too. But,
and then I fell in love.
No. Then I reflected on it as an adult, and I was like, why didn't any of the teachers stop that?
Oh. It was like a known thing?
Oh, yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a theater thing.
Oh, God.
But anyway, yeah. But so what... They're giving themselves cover to be able to say, oh, well, no, we're not anti-trans. Are you saying that all trans people are going to be having body shows? They're going to be having prurient shows? And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they're not doing like old school vaudeville acts, but, you know, what are they going to call body? What are they going to call prurient? I wish they hadn't written that word.
That's a wild word.
That's a wild word. But it's like, okay, so if you have a trans comic and they're talking about their dating life and they're talking about their sex life, is that going to be considered something that's too much? That's, afoul of the law? There's a lot. If you are a cis woman who likes to dress more masculine, and you're in a show, are they going to consider that to be you are dressing in clothing of a gender other than your assigned birth? It's just, and we should be used to these things by now, because I mean it's. I'm not going to say it started with Trump, because it obviously didn't, but the last 4 years they've gotten especially ridiculous with their language and their laws. But yeah, it is wild.
Our dog's being very bad right now. Okay. So our little dog is being super bad. All our animals, like, these animals are smarter than they lead on. Yeah. Because they're just like, oh, are you trying to do something? Are you trying to do a thing that, like, requires some kind of, like, concentration and quiet? So now it's time for me to get all my big feelings
rowdy. We're getting rowdy.
They're the worst.
And then Henry just, I don't know, is this a cat thing? Every time they know they're being bad and you start to say, stop doing that, they stop and start grooming. Like, who? Me? Oh my God. Couldn't possibly be.
This little cat. I love them, but they're awful.
They're real bad.
They're real bad. Love them, but they're real bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about how the United States is kind of becoming a hellscape. Drag is like, you cannot be a assigned male at birth and wear a dress and sing a song in the state of Tennessee anymore. And like I said, the really interesting bit is that I'm going to keep reading from the CNN article. Ahead of the bill signing, Lee, the governor, faced accusations of hypocrisy after an unidentified Reddit user posted a photo from 1977 high school, his 1977 high school yearbook, which purports to show the future governor dressed in women's clothing and a wig alongside female students dressed in men's suits. We had this when I was in high school because I'm old enough.
No, everybody's high school.
Oh, y'all had that too?
Everybody's high school has I was just going to say dudes like, dressed in dresses.
Oh, I was going to say the girls played football and then the guys were cheerleaders or whatever. That's why I assumed. I saw this picture. It's sketch, but like that's why I assumed it's from. But no, he like I said earlier, he responded to that. Oh, that's different though. Just like, normal scumbag behavior. But like you said, you don't know what to do, and then I have to repeat what I've said. I've said many a time on this show, is that we have to embrace the struggle. The struggle is going to go on after we're dead, but take heart in knowing that when they start doing stuff like this, which they have been doing, they're losing. They're like, the reactionaries are losing. This is the safest time in human history. A new world.
I just feel like
a new world is struggling to be born.
In the Weimar Republic too.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I've watched them. To be honest, I've watched documentaries about the Weimar Republic, and people were way. I know what you're saying, and I think it's a good analogy, but people were way more apathetic because they had just come off of World War I, where Germany took a big L.
True. I forgot that, and that was okay. Fair.
So. Yeah.
All right, well, that's okay. That's something. It's not as bad as the Weimar Republic yet. Okay.
It's not. But like these are definitely things to be aware of. So when I say like we do live in the safest time in human history, that doesn't mean like people are not going to. There's not stochastic terrorism. People aren't going to be killed and hurt by these reactionaries, and people's lives aren't going to be ruined. But when you take a step back and you look at the macro picture of time. We are winning. We will win. Culture never locks in. The idea of a conservative movement is, the idea on its face is dead on arrival. Because you cannot conserve culture. Culture will change. It's going to change. The things that conservatives enjoy now were the, 100 years ago, liberal positions. And we keep backing them into more and more, we can't come right out and hate, queer people, so we've got to do this end around again and make up lies about how drag, they're all groomers, and how drag story hour is grooming your children.
And let's not get it twisted. This is not specifically, this is obviously about LGBTQ people and targeting them, but it is not just about targeting LGBTQ people. They're targeting the idea of satirizing a social norm, a gender norm is a social construct, and drag is, its whole purpose is to satirize, the expression of that social construct. And so, and the idea that we're banning that, it's like, okay, well, what other social constructs are we not going to be able to talk about, and we're not going to be able to laugh about, and next? And that's, I like to think anybody listening to this show, cares about the fact that they're targeting LGBTQ people anyway. But I do think that there's a lot of people who would be apathetic to the idea of banning a drag show, because maybe they don't go to them. They don't know what's in a drag show.
Yeah.
But, kind of, if you're talking to someone like that, it's not about the show itself. It's about the satirization of a social norm, and it's about not wanting to make fun of things that are conservative. I mean, typical gender norms are, the gender binary. That's a very conservative idea, and so it's about not moving forward with changing societal ideas and expectations. It's they want to go back to the 50s with all of the nonsense and terribleness, and I think that message could possibly, sway some people who maybe are a little bit more apathetic to drag, just because they don't understand.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say sway them. I would say the apathy is kind of the, in a place like Tennessee, like, let's be real, like outside of Nashville and maybe Memphis, people are going to be like, say what? Well, that doesn't affect me, and I don't care. So I don't, it sounds great to me. But there, like, just to hammer home the point, there's definitely like two ways to look at this. The one way is when you talk about, mainstream culture, that Western society is moving backwards, because just in our lifetimes, we've had, these are mainstream things. These aren't even like fringe things. We've had movies like To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Mrs. Doubtfire, RuPaul's Drag Race is like a mainstream thing.
Let's not count Mrs. Doubtfire's drag.
It's a man in a dress, right?
I know, but that, yeah.
It's a crazy, yeah. Like, I'm not talking about like we're gonna have some kind of a college, we're not gonna sit here and sit in a classroom and tear Mrs. Doubtfire apart. It's a stupid movie. But the point is, it was a movie people took their kids to see. My parents took me to see, and it was about a man wearing a dress, not even doing drag, actually like pretending to be a woman,
literally
for like the worst reasons.
A man wearing a dress who is using pretending to be a woman to target and harass a woman, which is like everything that they're worried about happening now. And yet it was just good old fun.
So you can look at that as Western culture regressing. I'm choosing, and this is from the cynical guy, like I am not that glass half full guy. I'm the cynical guy for sure. But I look at this as this is the best they have. Like, they are drowning in a sea of acceptance and change, and they are grasping for any land they can. And this is the best they've come up with. In the long arc of history, this is not even the long, 5 years from now, this is going to be on some kind of CNN, remember the 2020s, and everybody's going to go, that was weird.
Honestly, the fact that most older Republican men know what a drag show is at this point means that drag has truly come into the mainstream. We were actually talking about this weekend. Is one of our favorite documentaries that we watched when we had just started dating was Small Town Gay Bar. Yeah. And it was about a bar in a small southern town that was very tucked away, kind of word of mouth. And it was where people in the queer community could congregate, and it was one of the only places where they could meet other queer people and where they could openly be themselves. And it was a really great documentary. Definitely recommend it. But even in smaller towns, there's more. People know of a gay person now.
Right.
Back when that was filmed, people wouldn't feel ever able to come out to their families. And while there's still a lot of people who don't feel able to do that, to come out to their families, there are still a lot of people who do, even in conservative towns. So we really have moved very far. And I really have to keep reminding myself of that, just because it is very easy to get down. And not to say that, you're not allowed to have negative feelings about what's going on and not allowed to be sad and grieve. But I know for me, if I start feeling so negatively, it starts to feel like there's nothing I can do, so why try? And so it is very important to acknowledge our progress and to acknowledge all of the people who made that progress happen and all of the people who are still battling apathy in order to make progress happen now, and all the wonderful humans in Tennessee who I know are going to push back on this, whether it's not going to be the majority of the state, unfortunately, but I know that there are going to be some very fierce defenders of the queer community, both the community themselves and allies. And honestly, this is a meme I just saw. I'm like, I really am getting old. I go on Facebook just to look at memes now, but it said, if you harass my transgendered buddies, I'm gonna start identifying as a problem.
Ooh,
and
spicy.
I was like, is that the only good I identify joke? Identify as
pretty
joke?
good.
Yeah, and then there was another one. It was like, hey, if you harm the queer community, your pronouns are gonna be was and were.
Dang.
I'm terrible at I like explaining memes into a podcast. This is truly the most millennial I've ever been.
It's all right.
In my life.
It's all right, mama.
But I think humor is appropriate. I think do whatever you need to do to feel the hope that you need to keep moving on in this fight, because it is this is truly scary stuff, and the fact that it's being enacted by the world's most stupid people is it's not making me feel good. Just the state of democracy,
Yeah, and again, just realize that we are all fighting battles that we've already won, but the battle still has to be fought. We have to fight these people and tooth and nail to make sure as few people are hurt by reactionary politics as possible, but realize it's over. We've already won.
Culturally, it's over.
Yeah.
Does the state agree? No. So we're not fighting the culture anymore. We're fighting the state.
Well, we're fighting people who the thing is, these conversations, I really do, and to put my kind of conspiratorial hat on, these conversations have already been had, obviously, to put bills like this forward in Republican think tanks and circles, because they know it's over. So the only hope is to try to take the minority that they do have and lord over the majority of what people want through legislation like this. That's all they have. That's all they have left. That's why the Republican Party has to gerrymander districts, because they can't win.
The thing is that they are gerrymandering, though. Mm-hmm. So we can't just say they're not winning because they have to do XYZ. But it's okay, they have done XYZ, so they can continue to win.
I guess what I'm saying is they're doing that because they're losing.
No, I understand that, but we can't use that as a. I don't know that we should use that as a metric, just because it's easy to get complacent, and we're looking at a potential Trump DeSantis 2024. So I'm not like.
Oh, Trump's gonna win that.
They're just.
I don't even think
literally calling each other pedophiles.
I don't even think.
And
DeSantis,
they both well, okay.
I don't even think DeSantis is going to declare.
Allegedly, Trump is a pedophile.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about DeSantis, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was a pedophile.
but I don't even think DeSantis is going to declare.
You don't think so?
Did you read the other day? So he had DeSantis had a rally thing in some, I don't know, in some county in Florida, and people showed up in Trump gear, and he had them physically removed.
Oh, I love that for
everybody.
So,
what? Like, it's over.
Oh.
Like, that's it. Because now 1 million people are going to come to every one of his things.
That is true.
And it's going to look awful.
So, even better, we are looking at a Trump
Biden.
Tom Cotton.
Oh, God.
And then Trump is going to mysteriously have a heart attack while eating his 7th Big Mac of the day. And we're going to have a Tom Cotton presidency. So love that for us. Anyway, I'm just a ball of sunshine. I just, sometimes I think that I'm pretty balanced about my views of the world. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty realistic about things. And then I'll say something so wildly dark and pessimistic that I'm like, oh, maybe being in crisis, domestic violence, and working out of jail for the last 8 years has actually maybe colored my views on the world.
Yeah, that'll do it.
More than I anticipated.
No, that will definitely do it. That's what the kids call a big downer.
That's a downer.
It's a big Debbie Downer.
It's an L.
Yeah, you're just eating L's.
Eating L's.
Eating them.
Like BFFR. That's trauma.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
I can't, because it's going to be, it's BF bleep for real.
Oh, okay.
It's my new favorite Gen Z.
I just got on period A like
I don't know
last
if they're
week.
Still doing that, but that is really funny.
I just
period
got on.
Period A.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm old. I'm
old.
I'm not old.
I can't judge.
I think I'm the oldest person on TikTok.
No, there's some much older men, and they have all messaged me.
What?
Oh yeah, I get messages from people named like Sugar Daddy Mike 12. So
how?
Frequently. I don't know.
On TikTok.
How?
You don't even. This is the first I've heard of this.
Why don't you ask China? I don't know.
You don't even have like content.
No, I do. Oh, I do have a couple of things I've been tagged in. Because my high school friend likes to make TikToks when we get together in the summer. So I have like 3 TikToks I'm tagged in. They have like 5 views apiece. Apparently one of those 5 views was Sugar Daddy Mike. And he liked what he saw.
What?
And he would like to support my lifestyle.
I was going to say, what are they talking about in the PG-13 version?
They said, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
I would like to get to know you.
Yeah.
And they usually put like a dollar sign.
It ain't tricking if you got it.
They don't got it. So that's the thing. That's the thing. There's like established routes to go if you want an actual sugar daddy or sugar baby. And it's not TikTok.
Oh my God.
It is most certainly not
What
TikTok.
What is going on?
Because like I'm not above letting a generous older gentleman fund my lifestyle.
Right.
But that gentleman is not going to find me via TikTok.
That's rough. This is. Woo! You learn something new every day on the Good Morning Comrade show.
Yeah. So if you thought my voice was hot, the rest of you's hot too.
Yeah.
Hot enough that
I would agree.
no, it's probably a Nigerian scammer.
What? That's like a reverse scam.
Yeah.
How does that work? Oh.
Because they'll say, I want to send you, this is another message I've gotten.
Shut up.
They want to send you a check for $500 for you to go get your nails done and a massage.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but they have to do it via vanilla card.
Yeah. Of course.
What
Because
are
that's
those,
how everybody.
those prepaid spending cards.
That's how everybody transfers money.
Yeah. So either you're going to get scammed of money or you're going to help someone launder money.
That's awesome.
So either way, no thank you.
Dang. TikTok is wild.
So that did check my ego a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, oh, this isn't actually a generous older man wanting to fund my lifestyle because my beauty is just so overwhelming. It is a person who thinks I might be dumb.
Whoa. You could be on like 90 Day Fiance. You could be that lady.
Oh, I would be so good on that show.
Just be like meeting some guy from the DR, the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, he totally loves me.
Yeah.
Rah.
Yep.
So, now for the good. We've do the station ID. You listen to 102.3 WHIV FM New Orleans, and we love you.
And all wars.
And all wars. Oh, that was the WTIX thing, and we love you, which is very creepy. Yeah, if you're driving,
sorry, they're just trying to spread a little love in the world.
I know, but if you're driving through the East at like 2 a.m. and it's just listening to oldies and it's WTIX New Orleans and we love it's, and there's just a pile of burning tires and it just looks like Bartertown on the East.
You sound like you live in Metairie.
No, because they would never. Because I think Bartertown's cool from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. So
that was actually a compliment.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
He's like, no, that was a good thing. But what is your good news?
Okay, so I got a letter in the mail, and I'm going to read it to you. And
this is the official letter.
Hear the paper crumple? It's like, this is the official show. Dear Robert Johnson, we are sending you this letter to share the good news that on behalf of a national donor, you no longer owe the above referenced medical debts. It was almost $1,200 to auctioneer. Because of our national 5013C nonprofit, RIP Medical Debt bought and abolished the debt. This act of medical debt relief was provided by Aldale. I can't. ALED. Ailedale. I'm going to go with Ailedale. A public.
Ailedale.
What's that?
I think that's beer.
Nuh-uh. It says a public benefit corporation.
Oh.
I mean, beer is a public benefit. I mean, what is it? Now you got me interested. What is an Ailedale?
What is an Ailedale?
Yeah, let's take a look. Value-based care. What is this? It's like a primary care? I don't know.
Oh, God. It's the
physician-led accountable care organization? What is that? Aaron,
with primary care for primary care.
Okay.
You know what? This is going to be someone that I'm going to have to work with at some point, and I'm going to be annoyed about it more than likely.
I bet.
But honestly, why are we trashing them? They bought your medical debt.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know. I don't even know them too trash.
That was just like
I'm just like
corporate speak like that. Just like truly triggers me to before I became a social worker. So
same.
It just really I just assume nothing good will come of it.
Mm-hmm. So where were we? We're on Ailedale. To learn more, please visit ailedale.com/Louisiana. Our abolishment of this medical debt is a no-strings-attached gift. You no longer have any obligation to pay this debt to anyone at any future time because it has been canceled as a gift of our 5013C charity. You do not earn any income or owe any taxes on this cancellation of debt. We have enclosed FAQ, blah, 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 blah. Here's the FAQ of what happened here. I think the FAQ is very... Who is RIP Medical Debt? We are a nonprofit national charity that raises funds from donors and uses those funds to acquire and abolish medical debt. Our IRS number is blah, 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 blah. Since our founding in 2014 as Medical Debt Resolution, Inc., we have abolished over $8.5 million of medical debt, helping nearly 5.5 million people. Are there strings attached? No. Rest assured, the debt referenced in the letter is no longer owed, and you do not have to take any action. Why are you doing this? Probably the most important part. Medical debt often results from unplanned, unexpected illness and accidents. About 1/3 of U.S. adults have difficulty covering unexpected health care bills. Medical debt also is the leading cause of bankruptcy in the U.S. In many areas and for many reasons, patient balances after insurance have been growing, and many people remain uninsured. We are doing this to relieve people of the burden of medical debt, to enhance their economic opportunities, and to enable them to lead healthier, happier lives. Now, paper crumple again. This is my Rush Limbaugh impression. He always crumpled paper. I used to hate listening to Rush Limbaugh all the time.
Why did you listen to Rush Limbaugh?
I used to hate listen. Anytime,
I thought you said hated listening to
him.
I was like, did someone make you?
No, I would listen to him anytime something like when Obama won twice. I was like, Rush Limbaugh, let's go.
Yeah.
Because he's going to lose his mind. You know, so it's like stuff like that. But okay, so my first thought is, since you were talking about sugar daddy scams, I was like, this is obviously a scam. What is this? So I did a little deep digging, and no, it is not a scam. It's 100% real. It was started by two guys who were actually debt collectors. They were executives at some like debt collecting thing on Wall Street across from Zuccotti Park. Occupy Wall Street happened. They go down there and just hang out and be like, what's going on? And then people found out who they were, and then they're like, hey, we've got an idea, and they started this like rolling jubilee of buying people's medical debt and then relieving it. And honestly, it's okay. So my thing is this: that $1,000, almost $1,200, was from a CPAP machine that I own. I paid the what do you call it? The copay or whatever.
Yeah.
So I paid the copay, which was $500 off of and I have a good job. I have insurance, thank God. All these things, like, I'm an atheist, but I thank God every day that I've made it to this point in my life where I have these things. But it's absurd because Aaron can testify. My snoring has been so loud since I was 20, and I would stop breathing at night and wake up in the middle of the night, and I could pass out anywhere because I was so tired all the time, and I was just dying, like, and she's like, you have to go get this checked out. They're like, you have sleep apnea. You could die at any moment. And we have to run a bunch of tests. And then you have to pay $2,000 for a machine that's going to keep you alive and make sure you don't stop breathing in the middle of the night, which seems like it's not even seem. Let me scratch seem out of there. That it's the most perverse, disgusting, sick thing ever. When you tell as a doctor, you're telling somebody how important a piece of equipment is and how, oh my God, thank God we got to you when you did. And by the way, we need $2,000 before we can give you this thing that's so important. And I paid for the $500 copay, and I was like, gotcha. Gotcha, auctioneer, because you're never seeing the rest of this.
Oh, yeah.
Never. I'm like, you're not. They would send me bills, and I would just throw them in the garbage because I'm like, no, I'm not paying for this. Like, this is crazy.
So I just got a bill, because it's been a few months ago now, but I got a bill for like $1,200 when I got a new IUD. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I thought this was covered under the ACA. And sure, the actual IUD was covered, but not the removal of my previous IUD.
Get out of here.
And I said, oh, well, I'm just not paying that.
Yeah.
So just not paying it.
I'm sitting here at work and I'm like researching this 501(c), and for a guy like me who Aaron can attest, I've literally said, the words have come out of my mouth, I don't have emotions. I started to tear up, and it wasn't because like I wasn't going to pay that. The auction was never going to see that money. Bill collectors were never going to see it. I wasn't going to pay it. I wasn't worried about it. But it got me to think about all the people who were just crushed, lives ruined, completely bankrupt because they have, they've got a long-term cancer. Somebody in their family needs, long-term care, and they're just crushed under medical debt that they've been helped by this, and literally have their life changed by this like rolling jubilee of people like ourselves who give money to this organization that buys up people's debts for penny on the dollar and just tears them up.
Also, I want to say sorry to Ale Jail because I was very snarky to you and I just looked up what you do, and good job. So Ale
we're just making all the friends
but I do really think you should change some of the wording on your website because you sound like an insurance company, but they're actually what's called an accountability management. It's an accountable care organization. So what that is essentially they function. So basically how this insurance companies pressure doctors and like other medical places to do the most inexpensive things possible. You know, and that's a really terrible thing because it comes at the cost of patient care. Accountable management organizations they essentially are advocating for the consumers. So it's generally and it's generally for if you want to start an independent private practice. Usually it's really, really hard because you have to have relationships with those insurance. So you'll send it's just really difficult. So if you do end up wanting to do that, you can join an accountable management organization and they'll help you, hook you up and figure out how to give the best care for clients. It gets rid of a lot of like Medicare waste, a lot of, Medicaid waste, and which is often the for-profit insurance companies are doing. And, it's a good thing. So sorry, everybody.
Nice. But like I was telling Aaron as a joke, like, yeah, I'm an atheist. Like I don't believe in a by and by. But I was like, if somebody was to knock on my door and proselytize to me right now, like this would be the time I'm most open to it, because I just kept thinking in my head of just like a God of the Old Testament. It's like, I sent you Bernie Sanders. I sent you another Jewish prophet that you refused to listen to. So now I've got to work around this.
Which I think is so dramatic.
But like
when he said that the other day, I was like, okay, I know we're both sad about Bernie losing, but
it's fine.
Let's not.
It's fine. But no, that something like this exists and has been existing for decades now. Well, decades almost since Occupy is amazing, and it's perverse that it has to exist, that it does exist. And it's and it shows how badly we need Medicare for all. Like yesterday, because the way I describe it to people who are like, "Oh, I don't want that," I was like, we're getting taxed as American citizens out the wazoo right now, and we're receiving little to no return. Our social services are inept at being the most generous assessment is they're inept. So if we're going to be taxed, if they're going to take money out of my check, like, let me get some of that back so I don't have to worry about, can I cough up 2 racks to make sure I don't die in the middle of the night? It just feels like in the richest country to ever exist, this is a perverse situation.
Yeah, and this was actually the same organization that was featured on John Oliver. If you remember, I think that was a few years ago.
It was.
They did this.
Like 3 or 4.
Yeah, they did this, and John Oliver, the show, donated a bunch of money, bought a bunch of debt, and forgave it all. And I think he seems like a good egg, but I think he was especially upset about the idea of medical debt just coming from the NHS.
Yeah.
In England, he is British, if you don't know who John Oliver is, and England does have, a government-run national health
which is
system.
Actually socialized medicine. Like Medicare for all, like, is not even that. It's not even the NHS. So I'm just saying this, I'm interrupting this. So if anybody... because you've got that next level of reactionary who knows a little something. So if they ever try to come at you with like, oh, the NHS is in shambles, oh, the NHS, doesn't work right. Well, the NHS is not Medicare for all. We're not talking about an auction or Turo being run by the government. It's just the government. I mean, it's just auction or Turo, your local doctor sends that check, the bill, to Uncle Sam, to Dark Brandon instead of you. That's the only difference.
Which they're already doing for people who are on Medicaid and
Thank
Medicare.
You.
So it's not like a new model. It would just be including more people in the model that already exists.
The best healthcare I have decent insurance now through my employer, which is another just atrocity. It's surreal. It's 1984 George Orwell. That we even have. The best health insurance I ever got was through Medicaid. Like when I didn't have a job until I got another one, I got on Medicaid. Absolutely the best insurance I've ever had. Yeah. My prescriptions were doggone near free. I started seeing a therapist then because I didn't have to pay a copay. Medicaid literally, this might be a little too, it was definitely life-changing. It could have even saved my life.
Yeah.
Medicaid, yeah.
I would agree with that. And just to as an example of how petty insurance companies are, I had a client who had disability. I think it was like $1,100, and he made just too much with disability that he didn't also qualify for Medicaid. So he had Medicare but not Medicaid. So he still had a copay for prescriptions. And he also had a pretty serious drug addiction, and so didn't generally have a lot of money at the end of the month. And would just like not be able to afford his $4 heart medication.
Oh.
And so like I would just end up buying them a lot of times. Because I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like have him have a heart attack because he couldn't pay for $4. But it's like, and I think he was covered by like United or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's so absurd that it's like they're just nickel and diming the poorest people. And yeah. So
that's why I want
to the choir.
You know,
my God,
yeah, no, 100%. So it's funny you say that about United. So here in New Orleans, United is in Louisiana. United is the one that does our Medicaid.
No, there's actually multiple Medicaid providers. So there's United Healthcare, there's Healthy Blue, there's Louisiana Healthcare Connections, Aetna, and Humana. So we have 5 different providers that. So basically, all of the Medicaid money gets funneled into those insurance companies, and they have a specific plan for Medicaid. And if you are on Medicaid, I believe you're allowed to change providers once a year. Mm-hmm. And if you're on Medicare, I believe you can change once a quarter.
So I had United Medicaid, so I didn't know that was a thing. So I got a job working for the city, and now United does the insurance for the city. So the thing is, when I will call for a specialist, and I'll call a specialist, and they'll be like, "What insurance do you have?" And I'll say United, and immediately they'll be like, "Well, we don't." And I'll be like, "I work for the city of New Orleans," and you can hear their tone change, and they go, "Oh, okay," because they're so ready to be like, "Nope, no, not doing Medicaid." But I want to be like, "You dirty dog!" Like the Medicaid that you're poo-pooing was better than the insurance I have now.
So the reason why they don't want, because it's like, okay, insurance is insurance is insurance. And it's because the government refuses to pay some of the prices that the insurance companies will pay. And it's if you've ever gotten a hospital bill where they charged you $500 for 2 aspirin, which is real and not uncommon.
Happening right now.
The government just says no. And so
that's awesome.
That's the reason why these insurance companies, because like why they're lobbying against a Medicaid. Because you would think, okay, if everybody has insurance, that's more clients for these insurance companies, but they don't want that because
it's less profit.
It's less profit for them. And the hospitals don't want that because hospitals are generally not nonprofits. We're lucky in this state that, or at least in New Orleans, that most of the hospitals around here are nonprofits. But, that's not the case in a lot of places in the country. And so the hospital administrators don't want, I almost said hospital staff, and I'm like, no, those nurses, they would give you that aspirin for free if they could. Mm-hmm. But the hospital administration want to be able to charge, whatever. And part of that is because they have to pay such high salaries to the doctors because the doctors all have like $400,000 in education debt and so on and so forth. And so, a lot, like as we were talking about earlier in the show, like part of the reason why a solution like Medicaid for all or Medicare for all is so abhorrent to so many people is because it's going to be like the first domino in a domino effect of showing how inflated so many costs are and how few people are benefiting from that money.
And that's why they fought so hard against Obamacare, which was just Romney care, because once you get that wedge in there, it goes back to this. All loops back to the previous conversation. Once you get that wedge in there and you show people, no, this is how things should be.
Yeah. So for instance, if
there's
you
no
have
going back.
Medicaid, at least in Louisiana, they'll pay for your cancer treatment. Like they'll pay for your cancer treatment. There's not going to question if you're going to get chemo or not. But private insurance companies, if you meet your maximum benefit amount, you might not get chemo. So it's like the hospitals want to keep charging insane prices. The insurance companies want to still make that profit, but part of the way they make that profit is by being able to deny you from certain procedures. Like, there's zero reason why your CPAP had to cost $1,500.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, like I actually just got a CPAP myself because we're both old and can't breathe properly. If you are wondering why I sound a little more chipper, it's because I'm actually sleeping, which is like fantastic. Highly recommend. But I went through and this is honestly like so dystopian. I went through an internet startup to get my CPAP. Gross. I said how to get, because I tried to sign up for a sleep study through Ochsner, and the first available appointment wasn't until April, and this was back in November of last year. I was gonna just have to wait, but it was getting so bad that I was forgetting English. Like, I just could not remember words. My cognition was
And what's one of the main things about, they tell you about, oh, we can't do socialized medicine because there's going to be wait lists. I have insurance through my employer now. You're telling me I am going to die, but can you just please not do it for like 4 months till we can get you in?
Yeah. So I have a private insurance as well, and I was content to just wait. But like I said, it was getting bad. So I Googled how, like, sleep studies, New Orleans, an app came up. I basically filled out a survey. They got me connected with a doctor who was like, yeah, you should probably get a sleep study. They ordered the sleep study. They mailed it to me. I wore it at night, transmitted all the data via the app. And then they were like, yeah, you're like not breathing. Apparently I was getting 6% of the REM sleep I was supposed to get. And sleep. So basically, REM sleep is where you repair your cognition. So that's where you kind of like sort and process all the information you got during the day. And then deep sleep is where your body repairs itself. So I was getting enough deep sleep, but I wasn't getting any REM. And for, people who don't know that much about insomnia, basically when you have insomnia, your body goes from light sleep, where not really, it's kind of like that period before you get to the other parts. You go from light sleep to deep sleep because your body's in survival mode. You need your body more than your smarts in order to survive. So it goes to, you repair your body. So you might not wake up feeling sick, but you're not gonna be able to remember anything. Like, I was at work just like, it was affecting my job performance, honestly, which is why I looked for the sleep study. And yeah, so they sent me the device, got it back. I have it. I financed my CPAP. So, yeah, we're doing great as a society. But it's just like, you shouldn't be listening to Good Morning Comrades if you're not pro single payer healthcare. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're running out of time. But I invite everybody to check out ripmedicaldebt.org, see what they're about. Just on their webpage, big splash screen. I'll just read it to you just as it says. Abolish medical debt at pennies on the dollar. Every $100 you donate relieves $10,000 in medical debt. Whew! I mean, the amount of people that this nonprofit is helping in this sick, sad world is, I really can't understate how awesome they are. So, thank you for helping me, and we'll see you guys next time. I love you, babe.
Bye.
Bye. I cut it off. You're not on there. You can't tell me you love me back. Bye.